Okay, DJ, I want to make you a quick video, bud. Your cabinet is about to get picked up from the shipping company here in just a few minutes. I'm going to navigate your control panel and kind of show you, sorry about that, and kind of show you how to use it, okay? So we have our full cabinet. You have some you have some pinball buttons on the side. Those are obviously your flippers. This is your plunger. You also have a power button. This will turn on your computer. And then going around the back, you have a USB port right here. Okay, it's got 4 ports. You have your PC and everything is down inside. Everything's mounted up nice. We have your control panel. Okay. And then you have your wireless keyboard and mouse. Okay. So let me navigate through the control panel just real quick. You have player 1 over here, player 2 over here, you have player 4, and you have player 3. The extra joystick here is just to double up as a 4-way joystick. It's the same joystick as your player 1 joystick. You have your trackball, you have your mouse buttons, and you have your spinner dial. Now up top, everything matches. The green buttons go with player 1. So we have player 1 start, player 1 coin. Over here you have player 3 start, player 3 coin, and so on. Okay, same for player 2, same for player 4. Now we have some command buttons inside. This little button here looks like a wrench. This is a tab button and only meant to be used for your arcade games. This is a pause button and it will only pause your arcade games, as your console games pause with their start or select button. Then you have your escape button over here. Sorry, it's really hard to see with the plexiglass and the light. And over here you have a start button. This is not to be confused to start a game. This is actually enter on your keyboard. And this button here is only meant to be used with the tab button. Alright, now I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and I'm going to kind of show you how everything works inside your game. Okay, I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Okay, can you see everything good? Yep. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate your wheel for you, because people get a little confused on the wheel, and then I'm going to kind of show you how to use everything. So, starting with your wheel, you have these things called banners. They're very hard to see. And if you look in the top right and right hand corner, it says banner. If you go to press player 1 start, you'll notice that it's a banner. Okay. There's also a pinball banner, a console banner, and a handheld banner. Everything in between the arcade banner and the pinball banner is just arcade games. So this is meant to help navigate through the wheel. Okay. So banner says arcade banner. These are all arcades. Okay. All arcades until we get to the pinball banner. And this is a pinball banner. Okay? So everything in between those are arcades. Everything in between the pinball banner and the console banner are pinballs. Everything in between the console banner and the handheld banner are consoles. And then we're right back around where we started. So that's how we kind of navigate our wheel. So starting with MAME. MAME is the main emulator that you're going to play. This is an arcade game. There's over like 7,000 games inside here. This drive is provided by Hyper Arcade Systems. So all the games are in here. You don't have to go into all of these wheels here, which are just technically duplicates. So these are all the different makers. So this is Arcade's Nintendo's arcade games, Sega's arcade games, Namco Classics arcade games. This is meant to be colorful, pretty, and it's meant to help you help to jog your memory. So, you know, Metal Slug made SNK, Capcom made Street Fighter, Mega Man. Okay, so you can just kind of go in those wheels like that. Okay, so starting with MAME. When you want to get into a wheel, simply press player 1 start. That will get you into the wheel. There's always like a 2-second lag. When everything starts moving, then you can move. It's Windows, it's not the drive. I don't care how much memory you put in. Windows 10 lately, whatever one of their updates has caused that. So that's how we get in a wheel. Once you're in a wheel, if you want to get out of the wheel, press player 1 coin. Okay, so again, player 1 start gets us in a wheel, player 1 coin gets us out of a wheel. The main 3 buttons you're going to use are player 1 start, player 1 coin, and the exit button. The exit will escape. It is escape on your keyboard, and it will exit all of your arcade games except for Pinball FX3. Okay, so once we're inside of main, player 1 button 5 is set up to be your favorites tab. So you can go into your favorites. Your main function button 90% of the time, once again, will be player 1 start. I just added a game, just removed a game, go in and check my favorites. You can list all your arcade favorites in this one main folder in favorites, and you don't have to go into all these other folders. Okay? So we've already listed a bunch in here for you. So when you want to play a game, just press player 1 start, give it a second, let it boot up. Some games will make you follow their intro, and other games will not. So once you're in here, now we can use some of these other buttons. For instance, I can use my pause button. This will only pause an arcade game. The tab button is actually tab on your keyboard. It will pop this menu up where you can do some configurations. Can you zoom in on that just a little bit? You can zoom in with your fingers. Okay, so once you're in here, we're going to press that start button that I was referring to. So when you're at the top one, it says Input General. Input General is only for is all of main. So once I go in here, go to Player 1 Controls. This is all of the controls for all of MAME. It's a very long list. Up, down, left, right, buttons 1 through a million. I'm going to go backwards. You see a little arrow at the bottom? If I just hit the up on my joystick, I can go to the bottom of the list. Mouse buttons, if you ever want to hook up light guns, all that stuff is right here. You don't need to set any of this. All this is already set. Okay, so I'm going to go down to return to previous menu, press my start button, return to previous menu. Now, I showed you that to show you this. Input this is just this particular game. Notice we have a much smaller menu. This will show you this game is only using up, down, left, right, buttons 1 through 6, and then player 2 starts. Then we have player 2 start, player 2 coin, and that's pretty much it. So if you want to make a change inside the game, for instance, you want to change the block, or if you get into a unique game like Marble Madness and it's set for the trackball, for the joystick, it should be set for the trackball. This is where you would go in to change that. Okay, so if you want to make a change, very simple. Go down and press the start button. Those 2 little arrows will pop up, and now the next button you touch becomes that button. Pretty simple. Let's say I just hit up. It's supposed to be down. You can start over, hit it again, and now you'll notice it has up and down. So if that ever happens to you, just hit delete on your keyboard, and then you'll see none pop up. So that kind of resets it back to nothing. Again, press start, then I press down, and now I've changed it. This is how you make changes inside your game. So then you can either do all the return to previous menu, or you can just tab right out of your game, unpause your game, and you're good to go. Put some coins in, and get started. Okay? So now we know how to get in a game. We know how to do some configurations inside of MAME. You can't configure Nintendo or anything else that way. Everything else needs to be configured inside its own emulator. When I want to get out, simply just press the blue exit button, and it will take you back to the wheel that you were at. Okay, press player 1 coin again, and it will take me back out of that wheel and back to the main wheel. Again, the main 3 buttons you're going to use are player 1 start, player 1 coin, and the exit button. So that's how we get into an arcade game. When you want to get into a Pinball FX3, I'm going to show you this one because it's really the only exception to the rule. It doesn't matter what game you pick. Just pick any game because it's going to make you manually choose the game inside the wheel. You can pause it. Okay, so like I said, it doesn't matter what table you pick because it's going to make you manually pick it. So remember, these double up as mouse buttons. I'm going to hit no thanks. Go to single player. Just pick your game. Single player. Now when you're inside a pinball, you have a few different controls. It'll give you a tour of the table, or you can press one of the pinball buttons to eliminate the tour. So your plunger is down. This button over here is also your plunger button. You have two flipper buttons, two buttons on both sides. Your buttons closest to you are your flipper buttons, and the outside buttons are your nudges. Also on your control panel here, player 1 button 1 and player 1 button 3 are also your flippers. You can, whatever feels more comfortable to you. You can play this way, or you can play this way. Okay. When you want to exit a game, hit the exit button. Over here, and you're going to go down to exit to single player, and just walk it out like a computer game. See the little arrows? This is the only game you need to do this on, but it's worth it because it's pretty awesome. Okay, and this will take you right back out. Now when you're playing, again, press player 1 coin, take you back to the menu. When you go into Pinball FX2, you don't need to do that. You can just pick a table, and it will take you directly into the table, and when you exit, it'll take you directly out. So all your pinball buttons are universal across all 4 pinballs. Okay, so when you're playing something like visual pinball, get into a game, remember, just give it a second. Your best friend is going to be Alt and Tab. If you're familiar with Windows 10, you hold down Alt and press Tab, and it will tab through everything that's open. So if you ever feel like something's freezing up, like a while ago I caught Pinball FX3 acting weird, so I just go in here and you can exit right out right here. Okay, your absolute worst case scenario is you just Control Alt Delete, go into your task manager, and then you can exit that particular game. Okay? So worst case scenario, that's what we do. Alright, so once you're inside of visual pinball, you got to put coins in. Am I on the right one? Alright, let me just exit this real quick. And get back in. You pause it for a second. Okay, so once you're in here, you just press coin. What I like about visual pinballs, notice the scoreboards, there's only one lit up. The more times I press the start button, 1, 2, 3, the more scoreboards light up. So now multiple players can play. When it's the next player's turn, the following scoreboard the corresponding scoreboard will light up. So now the second player's scoreboard lights up. Okay? When you want to exit, exit. Okay? Player 1 coin, back out of the wheel. So see, it's not as complicated as it looks. You're just really using player 1 start and player 1 coin a lot. When you get into a console, which I won't do because I'm almost out of memory on my phone, it's the same thing. Player 1 start, you have a huge menu. Once you're in here, you can press player 1 button 5. You can go into your favorites. Player 1 start, once again. And now you have a bunch of cool favorites. You just kind of have to figure out the buttons when you're inside a console. When you're playing an arcade game, it will always be button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, button 5, button 6. And it will always go in order. So when you're playing Galaga, there's only one button. It will never be button 6. It will always be button 1. When you're playing in a Nintendo game or a Sega game, you just got to figure the buttons out because they're always a little different. Coincidentally, Nintendo is A and B right here, but everything's a little bit different on Sega and Super Nintendo and stuff like that. Okay, so I've showed you how to do all that stuff. Now what I want to do is I want to get out of the whole system just real quick before we run out of time. When you want to get out of the whole system, just like you're backing out of a wheel, just keep pressing the player 1 coin button, and then you can get out. Now I'm in Windows. So you're going to have to change your settings when you get when this gets to you, because I don't know what size TV that you're using. So simply, you just press the mouse button, go into your display settings, and then you can change whatever resolution that you need. Okay, so go to whatever resolution your TV is set on, and then you also may need to go into AMD settings, and you can go under display, and then you can do HDMI scaling. Okay, you can scale your TV and make it fit. Okay, your resolution should make it fit automatically. There's also a wireless USB stick that's an internet card. Just plug that into your USB port, and you're going to go right here and log on to your Wi-Fi. Only do this if you need me to log on or the guy that made the drive to log on. If you need me to log on, you're going to use AnyDesk. And if you want to get back into Hyperspin, you're just going to click here. This will boot into Hyperspin automatically. Just give it a second. If you ever want to play with an Xbox controller, just double click on Joy to Key and you'll see it pop up down here, and then you can plug in a wireless dongle into your USB port and your Xbox controller will work right out of the gate. Okay, so this is how you navigate through this. If you need to when you want it ready to shut down, just shut it down the regular way right here, boom. You can leave it running as long as you'd like. However, Hyperspin, for whatever reason, does not like to be run for an indefinite period of time. So I've noticed on every machine I've ever built that Hyperspin could launch into a white screen. I call it the white screen of death. It'll be a little exclamation right here. You're just going to have to Control Alt Delete out of that. Okay, but that's the basics. So we know how to let me remotely log on. You know how to use your Xbox controller, and you're just going to, when you get home, just plug this up HDMI and then back up a little bit, and then you're just going to press your power button underneath here, and that will turn your computer on and it'll boot directly into Hyperspin, and then you are good to go. Okay, so any problems, questions, man, do not hesitate to reach out and give me a call. I'm definitely here to help. All right, bud. Happy gaming.